In order to study the sexual reproduction in flowering plants, it is necessary to study the three events, that is pre-fertilization, fertilization and post-fertilization events. The first two events we have studied. Now following it comes the third event, that is post-fertilization event. There are mainly three events that takes place in the post-fertilization part of the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. These events include endosperm development, which is followed by the second event, that is embryo development, which is followed by the third and the last event, that is maturation of ovule and ovary into fruit. Let us study these three events in brief, beginning with the first event, that is endosperm development. As said earlier, endosperm development is the first event that takes place in the post-fertilization part of the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Endosperm tissue is developed from the primary endosperm nucleus, which is also abbreviated as PEN, is triploid in nature, that is possess 3 times the number of gametic cells present within the flowering plants, that is possess 3n times cells. This endosperm tissue from the primary endosperm nucleus forms by undergoing cell division, which occurs in the form of mitosis. Endosperm tissue development mainly occurs in three forms, that is, there are three mainly types of the endosperm tissue. Which includes first, nuclear endosperm, then comes the second, that is cellular endosperm, and the third, halopial endosperm. Out of this, nuclear endosperm is the most common out of all the three of endosperm tissue. The main function of these endosperm tissues is it helps in the preservation or reservation of the food materials that is present within the flowering plants and helps in providing nutrition to the developing embryo. As said earlier, the most common type of endosperm tissue is the nuclear endosperm. Let us study its features and formation in this figure depicts the nuclear endosperm formation within the flowering plant. As said earlier, the primary endosperm nucleus, that is PEN, undergoes mitotic division to form a large number of free nuclei. As it can be seen from the figure, this is an endosperm tissue within which these nuclei are arranged around the periphery of the tissue, and there occurs a central large vacuole within the between these nuclei. This entire structure is the nuclear endosperm tissue, where by undergoing mitotic division, a large number of free nuclei gets formed and is arranged on the periphery of the tissue. Which surrounds a central large vacuole that is an embryo sac. Following it, the cytoplasmic division occurs. Due to this cytoplasmic division, the nuclei that are arranged on the periphery get starting divided. And this division, which occurs first on the peripheral nucleus, gradually moves towards the center. And thus, as a result, a multicellular endosperm tissue comes into existence. Thus, this multicellular endosperm tissue gets formed from the primary endosperm nucleus, first of all by mitotic followed by cytoplasmic division. For example, the endosperm tissue that is formed within the coconut. Now, as it can be seen from the figure, this is an endosperm tissue present within the coconut. The liquid material or the coconut water present in between is the nuclear endosperm or liquid endosperm. Following it, the hard white outer layer structure, that is kernel, is the cellular endosperm. Therefore, the coconut water forms the nuclear endosperm, and the white kernel, that is a hard covering within which water occurs, is known as cellular endosperm. Apart from coconut, there are various other structures within which endosperm tissue but in different manner. For example, in various dicots, like pea, bean and grams, the endosperm tissue is immediately followed by the embryo development. That occurs just before the seed maturation. But in few other structures like coconut and castor, the endosperm development results into the seed maturation and persists for that for some time. That is, persist in the form of mature seed for some time. Thus, this is all about the endosperm development, which is followed further by the another event, that is embryo development.